Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another true crime episode. Today's serial killer is not much different from the others, really. Just a sick and monstrous individual. Between 1978 and 1990, this brutal serial killer terrorized the Soviet Union, leaving a trail of mutilated bodies all over Russia, okay? At least 52 to be exact. His victims, which were young children, women, and vulnerable individuals, fell prey to a predator whose crimes shocked the world. Who exactly are we talking about? Let's get into it. I'm about to butcher some names, so bear with me. Andrei Chikatilo was born on October 16, 1936, in the village of Yabluchny? Oh my goodness, Yabluchny in Ukraine. Andrei had really humble beginnings. He was born during the Great Famine in Ukraine, so his early life was marked by hardships and trauma. It was said that his father, Roman, and mother, Anna, were extremely poor collective farm laborers who received no payments for their labor, but instead they were allowed to grow like a small, tiny little garden behind their one-bedroom hut. Okay, it was one room for everybody. So yeah, it was bad. So bad that people barely had anything to eat, his family included, because Andrei stated that he didn't eat bread until he was about 12 years old. And sometimes they would have to eat grass and leaves just to keep from starving to death. Wow, that is something. But not eating bread until you were 12? How did you live? I can't even imagine, because bread was everything. You would eat that thing with dlosiki, basically sugar water. That was a delicacy. You would eat it with maba, just good old maba. You can find pan maba. How do you survive without bread for 12 years? I would not. I don't know. But then again, I guess that's what they mean by famine. Anyways, said famine was so ridiculous that Andrei grew up hearing stories about cannibalism, and those stories would later haunt his psyche, and understandably so, because tell me why his mother, Anna, told him that before he was born, he had an older brother whose name I cannot pronounce, and when that brother was 4 years old, he was kidnapped, killed, and eaten by the neighbors because they were so hungry. Now, we don't know if the story was true or not, but that's what his mother told him. That's nuts. That is crazy. Why would you tell that to a child in the middle of all of this? I don't know. Poor Andrei. And I'm saying poor because I'm referring to his childhood, like the child Andrei, not the grown behind adult with mental issues who decided to take all these lives. Yeah, but poor Andrei. It was so bad for him. On top of the hunger and the extreme poverty that he had to experience, he was also believed to have suffered from hydrocephalus, which is a condition when the baby is born with like water or fluid in his brain. And that caused him to have issues with his bladder, so then he would wet the bed very late in life. And then he couldn't keep his pee-pee up. Like, homeboy wouldn't stand up. Yeah, the pee-pee just would not perform how it's supposed to. Although he was able to release man juice, but homeboy wouldn't stand up, you know. Which I can only imagine for a dude. I feel like most dudes, how well they believe their pee-pees function is like their pride and joy. I don't know. So I can only imagine what this man was experiencing, you know, with him not being able to keep his situation situated, you know. So because of all these things, he was bullied a lot. And so Andrei would say that his childhood was a combination of poverty, ridicule, hunger, and war. And speaking of war, when the Second World War started, Roman, Andrei's father, was forced to join forces with the army, and unfortunately he was taken prisoner after being wounded in combat. And when he returned, the family was made fun of because apparently if you go to war and you get wounded and captured, it's like, how dare you get yourself in this situation? Like, how did you let that happen? How dare you, I don't know, get blown up or get shot and then be captured by the enemy? What? That is crazy. What did y'all want him to do? What did you want him to do? The poor guy was out there fighting for y'all, and he got hurt and was wounded, and you blamed him? That is crazy. Okay? Now listen to this story. Rumor has it that Anna, Andrei's mother, gave birth to a baby girl named Tatiana, which created like a whole scandal because remember, hubby was at war, so ain't no way hubby helped make that baby. So it was believed that Anna may have been raped by German soldiers during the war, and that's how Tatiana was conceived. So there's a great chance that Andrei may have witnessed his mom being abused in this manner, which is crazy to even think about. Can you imagine as a child, you witnessing your mom being violated this way and like there's nobody there to help, nobody to call? It's just you and your little boy watching all this unfold and you can't even do anything about it. It's just crazy. Well, like I said, the poor guy had a very difficult childhood, and when he finally went to school, the bullying didn't stop. He went from being bullied in his neighborhood to being bullied at school because he didn't have the proper clothing. He was always hungry. He didn't have no food. Like I said, he didn't have good clothes. He was passing out from hunger because he didn't have anything to eat. It was just a bad situation. He was weak. And then he got made fun of again pretty bad. It was also said that his mom wasn't nice either. Remember when I said that he used to wet the bed a lot because he had the little problem? Yeah, his mom wasn't nice to him about that. Whenever he would wet the bed or do anything wrong, really, the mom would just berate him. And she was just not so nice. I don't know if it was like a combination of all the pressure and loneliness and fear and hunger. Every chance she got, she took things out on Andrei. So the bullying never stopped. It was either at home, in his neighborhood, or at school. So it was just an overall miserable situation for Andrei. However, he didn't let all of that discourage him completely, okay? He developed a passion for reading and memorizing data. He would study a lot, and the better he became at it, the more it helped him to increase his self-esteem or to boost his self-confidence and help him to become a really good student, an excellent student at that. By the time he hit his teen years, he was on the up and up. He was the editor of his school newspaper and then the chairman for the Communist Party committee. He was doing great things and graduated with excellent grades in 1954. Now, post-graduation, he applied for a scholarship at the Moscow, I don't know, State University, but unfortunately he didn't get in. He seemed to think that had something to do with the fact that his dad was considered a traitor for being taken prisoner, but the reality was that he allegedly did not score as well as the other students on the entrance test. But that's not what he was thinking. So then when that didn't work out, he decided he was not going to enroll at any other universities, but instead went to a vocational school to become a communications technician. After he completed his vocational training, he moved to another part of Ukraine. I'm not going to even try to pronounce these names, these areas. I can't. He worked there on a construction project for 2 years until he was drafted in the Soviet Army in 1957, where he served until 1960. After he was done, he returned to his native village to live with his parents, where he also worked with them on the farm. Now, Andrei tried to get in a couple of relationships, but they all ended up failing because he just could not keep his PP up. It would not stay up. They will try to have relations and he couldn't keep it up. So the women would end up giving up on him because, they want to do stuff and he couldn't do stuff. So there's that. Now, eventually the girls started talking amongst themselves, as girls do. And word started to get around that he couldn't perform. And he was just so ashamed, ended up leaving again and moving to another part of Ukraine, another part that I will not try to pronounce. But fear not. Okay, his little single situation would not last forever because little sister Tatiana would come to his rescue. His little sister noticed that her older brother could not keep a relationship. I don't know if she knew why, but she just noticed that things weren't lasting. He was having some issues in that area and she decided to come to his help and set him up with a girlfriend of hers. They would later, I guess they liked each other. They would later get married rather quickly after meeting. And even though he couldn't keep it up, they ended up having 2 children together. So I don't know, maybe he did something right. Maybe they figured out a way to do stuff. I don't know. In 1971, Andrei decided to change careers completely and become a teacher. but not for the reasons that you think. Homeboy was not out here thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm about to educate some children because I want to help raise up the next generation so that we can be better people. No. He did not want to become a teacher for those reasons. He started assaulting the students at the schools. One day he grabbed this young girl with every intention of raping her, but thank God his manhood could not perform, and the girl just kept fighting back. And as the girl was fighting and he couldn't get his pee up, he just released his man juice everywhere. Ew. And he would continue to keep doing that all over campus. These incidents were reported, but I'm not sure why the police was never called. Just weird. It's just weird. And after many repeat offenses, he eventually ended up fired. He tried to get other jobs in other school districts, but his reputation preceded him, and not in a good way, so he couldn't get anything else as a teacher. So he did the next best thing. He got a job working at a mining school. Despite his attempt to live a somewhat normal life, or decent, I should say, his dark urges began to grow, leading him down a path of unimaginable violence. His first murder happened on December 22nd, 1978, when he lured a young girl into an abandoned house to try and rape her. He got so angry and frustrated because, one, he couldn't get his pee-pee to stand up, and two, the girl just kept fighting and struggling way too much for his liking, so he ended up stabbing her 3 times in the stomach, all the while releasing his man juice. Ew. And after that, he then choked her until she lost consciousness, and then just threw her body in a nearby river, where she was found 2 days later. Oh man, that's so sad. That is very sad. Although there was overwhelming evidence, including an eyewitness who saw the girl talk to somebody with Andrei's description, his wife provided him with an airtight alibi, so he was able to walk free while somebody else was arrested. Unfortunately, that person had a history of assault, so he was arrested and said he was wrongly convicted and was executed in the place of Andrei. That's crazy. Afterwards, Andrei was a little spooked by his almost arrest. He chilled for a while, and he also got tired of working at the mining school. He felt it was pretty much the same thing over and over again, so it became way too redundant for his liking. He decided to get another job, one that allowed him to travel freely, which gave him access to a larger population of victims, which he took full advantage of. He also admitted that when he unalived that first girl, he experienced extreme sexual pleasure, because remember, as he was stabbing her, he was releasing his man juice. Although it wouldn't stand up, but he was releasing man juice as he was stabbing her. So he had an overwhelming urge to relive that experience. Oh my gosh. He said he didn't want to, and that he fought it so many times to where he would cut business trips short so that he would have the freedom to go hunt for new victims. Whatever. What would you like, a cookie? Because you still ended up unaliving 50 and some people. So I don't get your point. Ugh. His next victim was a 17-year-old boarding school student whom he unalived on September 3rd of 1991. He had lured the girl into the woods under the pretext of drinking vodka, and when they got to a secluded area, he attacked the girl, threw her onto the ground, and tore off her clothes and attempted to assault her. And of course, the girl fought back and was making noise and screaming, and homeboy, of course, was having a hard time bringing his pee-pee up. So things was taking too long, and the girls kept screaming, and because he didn't want to risk somebody hearing her, he put a whole bunch of leaves and dirt and mud into her mouth to stop her from screaming, then proceeded to strangle her to death. Now, this guy was sick on a different level, okay? Listen to what he did. Because he didn't have a knife with him at the time of this particular attack, he mutilated the girl's body with his teeth. Yeah, you heard correctly, his teeth. What? He bit off pieces of her, tore off one of her nipples, and then he buried her body under a whole bunch of leaves and branches and things of that nature. And she was found the following day. Ay, ay, ay. What a psycho. What a psycho. Oh my gosh. But that wasn't enough for him. He wanted more, okay? 9 months later, on June 12th, 1982, he encountered a little girl that was walking home from school. He decided that he was gonna, just walk with her, acted like they were going in the same direction, and just was walking alongside the girl. And as soon as they got to an area where there is a lot of trees and leaves and people couldn't see very well, he pounced on the girl, dragged her into the woods, tore up her clothes, and then stabbed her to death as he released man juice. How do you get off on stabbing somebody to death? That's a different kind of sickness. That's different. Now, for the victims where he released man juice, he's a lot more brutal with them, because for the first one, he stabbed her and released man juice. For the second one, he didn't have a knife, so he just bit parts of her off, but he didn't release man juice. And for this victim, he did have his knife to where he stabbed her and released man juice. The attacks where he released man juice is so brutal. Like that last one, the medical examiner said that the girl was stabbed 22 times in the head, neck, chest, and pelvic areas. 22 times. Do you know how deranged you have to be? My goodness. After these 3 murders, he felt like he couldn't control himself anymore. He just completely gave into his urges and just continued to unalive little girls, boys, young women, you name it, by stabbing, battering, and strangling them to death as he released man juice. Because that's literally what he was seeking. In a number of cases, he would eat their sexual organs. He would remove the tips of their nose or their tongues, and sometimes he would gouge out their eyes. And the last part is because he claimed that his victims would keep an imprint of his face even after they're dead. Bruh. Like, who cares? Who cares if they keep an imprint of anything? They're gone. Like, do you really have to go that far? Again, the sickness. The Soviet police faced a lot of challenges trying to catch this guy. For years, their investigation was hampered by bureaucratic inefficiency and a government who was just not willing to admit that a serial killer could exist in the perfect society that was the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, Andrei continued to prey on the innocents, confident that he could never be captured. However, Homeboy spoke a little too soon, because in 1990, a breakthrough finally came. A detective named Mikhail, whose last name I'm not going to pronounce, led an undercover operation at train stations where Andrei often searched for his victims. When police noticed that he was acting a little sus, he was acting a little funny, they detained him, and then they ran some tests and the psych eval, the whole nine, and the results linked him to the crimes. At first, Homeboy didn't want to say anything. He didn't want to admit to anything. He was like denying having had anything to do with anything that he was being accused of. But after a few days of interrogation, he finally cracked and he confessed in chilling details to unaliving over 50 people. That's crazy. This man was obviously sick in the head. And like I said, I don't think as a society we do a good job at caring for people with mental health issues, like diagnosing them and treating them and all that jazz, just to make sure that we keep them safe and the community within which they exist, because this guy was not normal. And I don't know, no one picked up on that. Granted, they may or may not have known what he was doing, but you mean to tell me that he never gave up any signs of anything? Because it is obvious that Homeboy was not right in the head. He was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, gouging out people's eyes, eating body parts like genitals, and not the kind of eating you think. Absolutely not. Immediately no. Immediately no. It is a darn shame. His trial, which began in 1992, became an immediate spectacle. It was so bad, they wanted to just grab him. They had to put him in a steel cage to protect him from the raged families of his victims. Okay, and I am not mad at them. I'm not mad at them. But he showed very little remorse, which did not help the case. His cold demeanor and graphic confessions just made things even worse for him, made the family want to jump at him even more. And ultimately, he was found guilty of 52 murders and he was sentenced to death. And we love this for him. We always love this for them. In February of 1994, Andrei Chikatilo was executed by a single gunshot wound to the back of the head, marking the end of his reign of terror. Yes, but the scars he left on his victims' families and the nation would never fully heal. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Andrei Chikatilo. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. His case exposed the failures of the Soviet justice system, highlighting the dangers of ignoring psychological disorders and criminal behaviors. His crimes serve as a hunting reminder that true evil can hide in plain sight, but his capture also marked a turning point, leading to advancements in criminal profiling and forensic science in Russia, which is a really good thing, because how did we not see this guy coming? And I wouldn't say just for the Soviet Union. I think it's a thing over here too, because we've had many serial killers in these United States of America, and they went unnoticed for a very long time, and nobody picked up on their psychological disturbances before they became full-on adults and just started doing weird crap. So good for Russia, but I would say it's not just a Russian specific issue. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. But until then, I hope to see you in the comment section. Bye.